All right, UFC 265 coming up, obviously, here on August 7th. So let's get right into this thing. You've got Derrick Lewis, the hometown kid in Houston. This guy just wants to maul you. He wants to knock you out. He's got the most knockouts in UFC heavyweight history. He wants this thing to be a street fight. And then you got Ciryl Gane, who is the Muay Thai champion from France, who is a tactician. All right, Chael, this is a diametrically opposed fight as far as styles. What do you think?
You box the brawler and you brawl the boxer. Look, in this case, of course, the technique and the style points are going to go to Ciryl Gane. He's going to be a lot more tactical. He's going to understand range. He's going to chop at your legs to disguise before he comes up to your face and head. The opposite goes for Derrick Lewis. Derrick is not going to kick you. He's not going to feint takedowns. He's going to come out with some big and heavy power. The good news for Derrick is he's got it. Look, in many ways, I think that Ciryl is getting this fight 3 months too late. And I only bring that to you because there's not much of a home court advantage as we've seen in the last year. The audience was gone. There's no cheers. There's no boo. There's no energy. As you said, they're going to Derrick's backyard. He's going to have a lot of support. Look, there's no disguising this is going to be a stand-up fight. And while Ciryl Gane doesn't even have takedowns, let alone is he going to attempt to implement them, Derrick does have them. I don't know that I'm confident that Derrick can get Ciryl down, which leaves us in a stand-up battle, which is where it comes to the chops and the picking away of Ciryl Gane versus the power of Derrick Lewis. I believe that Derrick only has one way to win. I believe that that is by knockout. Again, the good news for Team Derrick, he's pretty good at knocking people out.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. Now, let me ask you this, because there are people that feel like Gane maybe got this fight a little too early, right? That maybe he hasn't been tested enough to go up against a guy like a Derrick Lewis. What say you to those folks?
There's no problem with him going in stylistically against Derrick Lewis. As a matter of fact, Gane is the favorite. However, I think in a perfect world, and nothing ever happens perfect, but if we're going to play that game, a genie pops out of the bottle, sure, he gets a little bit more experience. Now, Gane's record is absolutely outstanding. He's 12-0 in MMA, off the top of my head, but his kickboxing record looked a lot like Israel Adesanya's. Adesanya was 29-3 by example, and Gane was 27-3. So I only bring that to you because we saw how far it took Adesanya to be able to have that range, to understand skills on your feet, and then defense for getting taken down. That's a lot like, and maybe not with the same finesse, but that's a lot like on paper what you'd have to complement Ciryl with. So I think that Ciryl does belong here. Ciryl is the favorite. I think that he should be. He's a little bit more tactical. But there's another question that nobody seems to be asking, which not just the title aspirations. It has to do with the championship rounds. Ciryl has not been scheduled for 4 and 5 rounds. He has never gone 4 and 5 rounds. And I think that it's very relevant. How would he hold up? That used to be the knock on Derrick Lewis, his conditioning. Derrick got in with Robert Follis. He started to change that years ago. He pulled 20 pounds off his natural body weight. He used to have to cut to make the heavyweight division, 265. You get in the ring closer to 280, 283. Now he weighs about 263, 264. That had a natural boost in his conditioning.
The other allegation from fans is that he's boring, right? Now, you and I call him a tactician. He's as patient a fighter as there is in the game right now, particularly at that weight class. What do you make of the alleged boring label that he gets?
Well, I know what they're talking about. I see where he doesn't mix things up. Now, here's the skill of fighting, okay? I touch you and you don't touch me. That's the game. He's very good defensively at not getting hit, which is also why I blow a little bit more wind in Derrick Lewis's favor than maybe the odds makers are giving him. Derrick is very good. He will find him at some point. Derrick will land that big shot at some point. You can pick Derrick apart. He's never going to go away. You can just see, for reference, his fight with Curtis Blades. He was clearly losing that one big shot. All of a sudden, he's getting his hand raised, and he's propelled into #1 contendership. So Derrick has those skills and those abilities. But when Ciryl tries to keep that distance, and he tries to play this game, and he tries to pitter-pat, yes, I can see where that can be a little bit dull. I just don't think with this opponent. And don't forget, anytime a guy's boring but he wins, all the blame goes to him. There was 2 guys in there. But for some reason, if you lose, all is forgiven. I only share that with you because I think that Derrick is going to mix it up. Now, we did see Derrick in a stinker himself, of course, his fight with Francis, where he was able to keep that range. He respected Francis's power a little bit too much. Derrick can't do that. And while I referenced a moment ago that Derrick doesn't have these great takedowns, George, they do exist. And whether Derrick gets the takedown or not, Derrick needs to be threatening the takedown. He needs to be changing elevation as he moves forward. That's going to stop a lot of those kicks and knees incoming. The more that Derrick can make this a straight fisticuffs adjudication, shoulders up, the more it's going to favor the Black Beast.
You know, what's interesting is, to your point, you know, when you mentioned the fight against Ngannou, and also if you look at the fight against DC, now Bob Perez, who trains Lewis, talked about injuries being an issue in those fights. He had knee issues, which led to some back issues. Do you believe that's part of it? Like, do you buy that?
No, he got taken down by Daniel Cormier. He didn't have a great answer for it. Derrick has one great movement on the bottom. He allows you to pass. I don't know how fighters would ever be on top of Derrick and pass, stay in the guard and pound, but every time he allows you to pass, and he's got this big explosive movement where he can come up to his feet. It's his only escape. It's the same escape he looks for every time, and it's the same escape that every opponent he has ever fought for the last 6 years continue to pass and give him. Look, if Ciryl was to get on top, it's going to be a problem. And as far as Daniel getting on top and Derrick being hurt, I mean, coaches, this is the biggest sport of fake tough guys, George. I mean, that stuff just gets me hot right there. I don't care how you feel. Neither does the championship. Quit bringing it up. And if you want to bring it up and be a big crybaby, have the courage to say it before the fight. Have the courage to come out and say it ahead of time if you're not feeling good. You signed off on a form when you got your license. You swore under penalty of perjury you felt great. Then every time somebody gets beat, they want to come up with a new story. I don't like that. I didn't know that happened until you just said that to me. That really upsets me.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.